There's a moment in every man's life when he realizes that being good isn't getting him anywhere. He works hard, follows the rules, treats everyone with respect, and still watches the undeserving rise above him. That's the moment when something inside begins to burn. A quiet rage, a whisper that says, enough. That whisper is the beginning of transformation. The moment you stop living like a pawn and start thinking like a king. This is the story of that transformation. The birth of the modern Machiavellian mindset. He sits alone in his room, the glow of the city painting golden lines across his face. His mind races between ambition and frustration. The world outside feels like a chessboard, every move predetermined by people smarter, colder, and more strategic than him. He realizes something: no one ever truly wins by being fair, they win by being effective. That's when he begins his study, not of motivation, not of positivity, but of power. Machiavelli once wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But in today's world, fear isn't about intimidation, it's about influence. To be feared is to be respected, to be untouchable. It means people know you can move in silence, strike with precision, and walk away without needing validation. That's the modern version of fear, calm dominance. He begins observing people differently now. The corporate leaders who smile while manipulating entire markets. The influencers who seem authentic but are engineered for attention. The friends who say I care but calculate every interaction. He realizes the truth. Every social system runs on power disguised as kindness. Every hierarchy is a battlefield of manipulation hidden beneath politeness. The sooner he understands this, the sooner he stops playing the wrong game. The first rule of becoming unstoppable is awareness. You cannot win a game you don't understand. He starts seeing patterns, how emotions are tools, how silence can dominate a conversation more than words, how people reveal their weaknesses by trying too hard to appear strong. The Machiavellian doesn't chase emotions, he studies them. He doesn't react, he calculates. Every word he speaks, every move he makes serves a purpose. He learns to detach from the noise. The world constantly screams at him, be kind, be humble, be patient. But humility without strength is submission. Kindness without strategy is exploitation waiting to happen. He doesn't abandon kindness, he masters it. He uses it as a weapon, a soft mask that hides sharp edges. When he's kind, it's deliberate. When he's humble, it's calculated. When he's silent, it's preparation. He realizes something that changes everything. People are predictable, they crave validation, they fear rejection, they need belonging. The Machiavellian mind understands these desires not to exploit them cruelly, but to navigate them intelligently. Influence isn't about control, it's about understanding what drives others more than they understand themselves. Soon, his interactions shift. He stops oversharing. He stops explaining his intentions. Mystery becomes his armor. He learns that power grows in silence. The less people know about you, the more they imagine. And imagination is far more powerful than reality. He becomes the man others can't quite read. That unreadability makes him magnetic. He learns the art of adaptability. The modern Machiavellian doesn't force situations, he molds to them. Like water, he flows into every crack of opportunity. When faced with confrontation, he doesn't resist, he redirects. When life closes one door, he picks the lock instead of waiting for it to open. He studies psychology, persuasion, human behavior. He learns to listen deeply, not to respond, but to detect. Every tone, pause, and facial twitch reveals something. He discovers that winning isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the most observant. The one who watches others argue while quietly setting the terms of their conflict. The one who lets people think they're in control while subtly guiding them toward his outcome. That's true power, not domination, but direction. But with power comes danger. The danger of arrogance, of thinking you're invincible. The modern Machiavellian must balance confidence with caution. He must never forget that the same game he plays can be played against him. So he stays alert, grounded, strategic. He knows that the higher you rise, the quieter you must move. He begins applying these principles everywhere. At work, he no longer complains about unfairness. He studies the politics and positions himself where leverage lives. In relationships, he no longer chases affection. He builds presence, self-respect, and emotional distance. People are drawn to him not because he tries to impress them, but because he no longer needs them. That's the paradox of power. When you detach from needing validation, the world starts validating you. Every rejection becomes data. Every setback becomes fuel. Every insult becomes insight. The modern Machiavellian doesn't whine. He watches, adapts, and strikes later with precision. He doesn't seek revenge. He builds influence so deep that revenge becomes irrelevant. Because true revenge isn't making others suffer. It's making their opinions powerless. Over time, his mindset transforms. He becomes calm under chaos. He no longer reacts emotionally to betrayal or loss. He knows that life is a series of moves and patience is the deadliest weapon. He's not cold. He's composed. He's not manipulative. He's strategic. He doesn't fight every battle. He picks wars that matter. He realizes the essence of the Machiavellian philosophy isn't cruelty, it's realism. It's seeing humans as they are, not as you wish they were. It's understanding that morality and strategy are not enemies, they are layers of survival. A man without strategy is a victim of other people's plans. He begins crafting his empire, not with noise, but with moves. Networking silently, observing deeply, mastering his craft relentlessly. When he speaks, people listen. Not because he demands attention, but because his silence before speaking commands it. When he walks into a room, energy shifts. Not because he's loud, but because presence is louder than words. He learns to project controlled power, the kind that doesn't need to shout. The kind that says, I know who I am and I know what I can do. People respect that energy. Some fear it, others envy it, but everyone feels it. The modern Machiavellian doesn't just survive the system, he designs within it. He understands social dynamics, emotional leverage, and psychological momentum. He knows when to step forward and when to disappear. He knows that power is most secure when it's invisible. He learns that perception is everything. The world doesn't reward truth, it rewards image. But image without substance collapses fast. So he builds both, competence and mystery, strength and subtlety. He doesn't post his plans, he executes them. He doesn't announce victories, he multiplies them quietly. He studies history, the emperors, the strategists, the visionaries. From Caesar to Musk, from Napoleon to Jobs, every great leader shares the same thread, clarity of purpose and emotional control. They manipulate not with deceit, but with mastery of human nature. And that's what he becomes, a master of human nature, starting with his own, because the hardest mind to conquer is your own. To become unstoppable, he first conquers fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being misunderstood. Once he kills fear, every other obstacle becomes manageable. He learns to weaponize pain. Every betrayal becomes a lesson in discernment. Every heartbreak becomes a reminder to never give full power to emotion. Every failure becomes a study in timing. He stops asking, why did this happen to me? And starts asking, well, what does this teach me about power? He understands that emotion is energy, and energy must be directed. Instead of crying over loss, he builds. Instead of reacting to hate, he studies his enemies. Instead of arguing with fools, he observes silently. Power doesn't come from reacting. It comes from responding strategically. Over time, he becomes unrecognizable, not because he's changed entirely, but because he's evolved beyond recognition. He's learned that self-control is the purest form of dominance, the ability to feel deeply but act rationally, the strength to love without dependency, to trust without blindness, to move without noise. He becomes unstoppable, not because the world stopped opposing him, but because opposition no longer controls him. He doesn't seek approval. He seeks results. He doesn't chase happiness, he chases progress. He doesn't demand loyalty. He inspires it through competence and confidence. People start calling him lucky. They don't see the 1,000 quiet sacrifices, the calculated silences, the long nights of studying human nature. They don't realize that what looks like luck is just strategy meeting patience. The modern Machiavellian mindset is not evil, it's efficient. It's the art of moving with precision in a world of chaos. It's the ability to hold emotion in one hand and reason in the other, to be kind but never naive, to be generous but never exploited, to be powerful yet invisible. And one day as he looks back, he smiles, not with arrogance but with clarity. He understands now that being unstoppable isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself so completely that nothing external can break your internal empire. He's not driven by ego anymore. He's driven by purpose. He doesn't seek followers, he attracts alliances. He doesn't fear losing people, he fears losing focus. He has become what Machiavelli envisioned, not a tyrant but a tactician. Not a manipulator of others but a master of himself. He walks through life like a storm that doesn't announce itself but changes everything it touches. Calm, focused, silent, strategic, unstoppable. That's the modern Machiavellian. That's the new definition of power.